In this video, I will be showing you how to save and invest in your 20s. First thing you need to do is create a budget. So what is a budget? A budget is a plan for every dollar you have. It's not magic, but it represents more financial freedom and a life with much less stress. You should try the 50-30-20 rule. This is a simple budgeting framework. By doing so, you will allow up to 50% of your income for your needs. You leave 30% of your income for your wants. And you must commit 20% of your income to savings and debt repayment. And as a general rule, you should live below your means. So another budgeting framework that I like to use is the pay yourself first rule. This concept is pretty simple. So every payday, the first thing you do is set aside a percentage of your income in a savings account. So for the 50-30-20 rule, you would set aside 20% first. And then you do this before you pay rent, before you pay your other bills, and before you head to happy hour, you pay yourself first. A key component of your finances should also consist of building an emergency fund. So having an emergency fund gives you the peace of mind to know that should something truly awful happen, such as losing your job, you can worry about how to deal with the emergency itself and not worry about how you're going to survive financially. So most financial advisors recommend having an emergency fund of 3 to 8 months worth of expenses, depending on your situation, of course. An important thing that I think everyone should do before they buy something is analyze your purchase. So intentional consumption is all about establishing purchasing patterns. So try to understand why you want to buy something. Do you actually need it? Will it add some value to your life? Before you buy something or make a decision, try to sleep on it, especially with bigger purchases. And then another key thing is that you should always try to buy things outright. Avoid those 0 interest 24 months payment plans. It doesn't matter how badly you want it. If you don't have the money, you can't afford it. And don't even think about pulling out that credit card unless you can immediately pay it off with what's in your checking account. So as a young adult, you might be thinking of college or going to a trade school, and you have to figure out a way to cash flow your way through college. So if you're still in high school, ideally you should start thinking about how you'll pay for college before you apply to a single school. Make sure you've chosen your college carefully and you've gotten grants and scholarships to cover the first year of your school. If you're already in college, however, try to avoid taking out any more student loans and try to save up to pay off those student loans immediately once you get out of college. And then while you're in college, you should ideally work a part-time job. I think that most of you should be able to work at least 20 hours or even more, depending on how heavy your course load is. So you should work a part-time job or do a work study to pay your own way through college to avoid any further debt. If you decide to live at home during college, there should be a well thought out conversation between you and your parents. Find out what your parents expect from you and what you can offer them. Even if they're generous enough not to ask for rent, you should still contribute to some of the bills or pay for groceries. This will not only help them and cover some of your expenses, but it's a good way to start getting on a budget, as I spoke before. So learning the responsibility and how to manage your money and establish a role in a home as another adult. And if you don't want to live with your parents, consider living with roommates to reduce your housing expenses. Another important thing that you should do once you turn 18 or as soon as possible is try to build your credit. So your credit score determines a lot more than the loans you can get and the interest rates you pay. Insurers use credit scores to set premiums for auto insurance and homeowners coverage. Landlords use them to decide who gets to rent their apartments. There are responsible ways to build your credit without accruing any debt. An important thing to do as a young adult and as a person in general is trying to eat healthy. So if you're eating out too much, it can take a hit on your health. Your wallet also takes a hit, impacting your financial health. When you add up the dollars, you will see that those satisfying short-term calories can be pretty costly in the long run. If you need more help understanding any of these topics that I talked about, feel free to contact me on my Instagram